Hello, Fantastic Beasts fans! Over the last couple of days, we've gotten lots of new reveals, final character posters, new clips in a Russian trailer, and today, new information from Entertainment Weekly. But what could these all mean? I'm Susan Chappell with Fantastic Secrets Behind Fantastic Beasts to bring you the clues. Join me and other Fantastic Beasts fans here on the Beast Chaser Forum as we uncover the secrets, discover what's coming first, and play along with Rowling's newest game. And make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you'll be notified when videos post and won't miss out on the next clues. As I'm noting in every video now, with the richness of detail that has been released, there may be spoilers ahead, so proceed here and in the comments below with extreme caution. Forgive me if this video is a bit rambling and long, and if I don't go as much in depth as some of my prior ones. With the film release only a month away and so many theories left to cover, I'm trying to get as many of them into the few videos I have left. Because once true spoilers hit, like leaks from pre-screenings and early premieres, I'll no longer put out theories, because that would be fake of me to do so. Also, I've included some thoughts on a Russian trailer that was released, unauthorized, so keep that in mind if you're avoiding unauthorized leaks. A couple of days ago, we got 5 new character images with pairings. All the posters have the same background and bottom imagery, but different symbols in their headers, which is what I'm going to focus on. The back is also interesting. At Sahara M3 made an excellent catch that this is actually from the Eiffel Tower, put together to create a circle effect, perhaps again hinting at the central role of the tower in these films. And Patricio from the Rowling Library caught another intriguing possibility. Look at this poster for Prisoner of Azkaban. Notice the similar background with the circle, or spiral, and Dumbledore. The circle of time played a key role in Prisoner of Azkaban, and we've had lots of time clues ticking away throughout Crimes of Grindelwald. Could this be another? Now, in this poster of Newt and Dumbledore, the top symbols include the Niffler, a wand, the bowtruckle, and the dragon from the graveyard. For Grindelwald and Credence, the symbols in the top include the pipe skull and thestrals, which, as we've talked about before, are related not only to death, but might also hint at Grindelwald's fascination with piercing the veil of death and summoning spirits. Leda and Theseus poster includes the crows, a wand coming out of a ministry logo, and tombstones, referring to her family in the graveyard. Queenie and Jacob's poster is very intriguing. We're hit over the head with the umbrella and rain symbolism, which I was very excited to see after covering their significance in my last video. I think there's no doubt that the rain and umbrellas are important to their relationship, whether or not it's washing away enchantments like I speculated. Then there's the serpent or dragon, which is probably a reference to it towering over Jacob in the graveyard, that I also mentioned as a clue to his being able to see it because the veil of secrecy has been lifted. But what's got me most curious about their poster is the symbol in the corner here. I had a long discussion thread on Twitter the day it released with Universe Harry Potter, Kelly Loomis, Marie at Hanny Deer, CJ Falcon at Falcomuse, and Bestiary. And they mostly thought this was the augury, with the funny feathers coming out of its head. I'm sure they're all right, but I also think it has a subtextual symbolism related to the ancient Egyptian Eye of Horus, which Marie and CJ Falcon agree with. I want to explore this further, but it will have to be in a separate video, so more to come on that. And finally, we have Tina and Yusuf Kama. We've been seeing these two put together a lot lately because they're on the same quest, to find Credence. Their heading contains symbols we haven't seen before. The goose feather is a wand, and the Madigo cats. I think each wand symbol for these posters is showing a key bit of magic associated with them. And for these two, that goose feather and the Madigo cat links them both to the French ministry. As we've examined before, the goose feather is part of the magical zodiac in the French ministry, and the Madigos are assistants and guardians at the ministry. I think their pairing here refers to a visually stunning scene which we caught in the final trailer. The moment the Zowu leaps into the ministry, smashing through the zodiac,
with the Matigos either clinging to its back or giving chase. Tina and Yusuf must be involved in this scene. They were, after all, at the circus near the Zoo. The Zoo is known to travel 1,000 miles in a day. Here, I think it has broken through some sort of portal to spring into the center of the ministry. I'm really not clear as to why, but Tina and Yusuf must be involved. I'm just wondering if this is the Crimes of Grindelwald version of breaking out of Gringotts via dragon, except it's breaking into the ministry via Zoo. Onward! The day after these character posters were released, a 1-minute Russian trailer was leaked. I'm not going to break it down scene by scene because most of it has already been shown in prior trailers and because Warner Brothers did not want this released. I'm only going to cover briefly a couple of new revelations. First, look at this image of the fiery dragon. Notice the extension and curve of the horns that were not shown like this in prior trailers. To be honest, that looks to me much more like a demon than a dragon. Perhaps this is evidence of Grindelwald using the summoning circles we've talked about in so many videos. Second, we see a better image of the people on the stairs of the graveyard below the demon dragon, and they seem to be making their escape. If you'll notice, this is also the exact same group who are on the bridge at Hogwarts, seeming to confirm the survivors being transported there, and that Flamel is one of them. And it is from this group that the Phoenix spell is shot at the dragon. But whether it's coming from a particular person or all their spells joined, I don't know. Perhaps this may even be what eventually inspires the Order of the Phoenix. Next, we also get a better image of the body behind Grimson in the Credence Obscura scene, as first pointed out to us by Top Sydney. And with this better view, I'm convinced it's the mystery woman with 4 fingers in the cast poster. Also recently released in the new book, A Spellbinding Guide to the Films, Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts, was a listing of the Circus Arcanus acts, and one of them is a half-elf. I bet she's our mystery woman, and thus a member of the circus, and probably a key to Credence and Nagini's escape. I don't think she's Parinel. I think the posters in the Chinese article that I referred to in a prior video identifying her as Parinel were most likely making assumptions, as many people have, as to her identity, and not verified with Warner Brothers. I think that identification of the graveyard dragon as a Swedish short snout was also an assumption, though I could be wrong. But back to our mystery woman. According to a spellbinding guide, a half-elf is considered an underbeing, someone of wizarding ancestry without magical powers. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between an underbeing and a squib, but judging from the magical circus acts, I would guess that underbeings are still magical beings even if they possess no magical power, such as a half-elf or a half-goblin, whereas a squib is not. And because an underbeing's status is low, I think it highly possible that our mystery woman could be an estranged member of a prominent family, like the Lestranges, that we discussed before. And remember that we saw another 4-fingered person in that explosion. Could they be a Lestrange? Perhaps Credence's aunt, or perhaps Mrs. Lestrange, who we've seen no hint of so far in the trailers. The Russian trailer also gave us a better view inside the Lestrange mausoleum. We see the gigantic statue at the center that was referred to in the set reports, and it seems to cover a hidden passage below, perhaps to the theater. But notice something else about the statue, the oddly twisted positioning of the body. Is that because the statue turned as the podium moved to allow entry to the stairs below? Or was the deceased depicted in the pain of death, or perhaps the torment of transformation? One final image from the Russian trailer excited me because it tied together several ideas I'd been pondering for a while. The appearance of a phoenix in this mystery room. We've been told that Credence and Nagini are on a journey to find Credence's family. Perhaps they've heard the Lestranges are associated with birds. When they're forced to leave the room that exploded, I think that either through the other woman in the room or their own explorations, they connect to his family. And they end up in a place with a birdcage and a phoenix. This room must be related to Credence's family. To me, the design does not look in any way similar to what we have seen of Flamel's home. It seems to be a library, perhaps of a family with standing and money. My guess would be either Lestrange or Rosier. Wouldn't a pureblood family, one of the sacred 28, who obviously have enough money to have a library, also perhaps pride themselves on exotic pets? Remember, the Malfoys kept a pure white peacock at Malfoy Manor. Perhaps a rare phoenix is more fitting to the Rosiers. And I'm guessing Rosier because they might choose this to distinguish themselves from their Lestrange relatives, who have a mere crow as an emblem. And the red phoenix would fit in coloring with their Rosier name. You can even see a hint of it in the rose chevron stripe of their wall covering. Chevron for wings. So with this idea, I don't think this particular phoenix serves a critical role in the story and is not Fawkes, who never belonged to anyone before Dumbledore. I feel this phoenix may serve, at this stage, mostly to introduce the nature of the phoenix to the story, and that we will see a key one later. But there's one more secret I think this room contains. That cabinet on the right. In an earlier video, I said I thought it might be a Credence cabinet, one for serving elements of the communion, playing on Credence's name. But now, I'm wondering if it could be a Vanishing cabinet, and if it has a match. Is it possible that Grindelwald enters the Rosier home via the Vanishing cabinet's mate? Here's a possibility. Credence and Nagini, unfortunately, are not aware that a member of the Rosier family, Venda, is one of Grindelwald's most trusted acolytes, and how pleased Venda is to present Credence to him, even though it may go against her family as he is under their protection. Possibly. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how this would all play out. While I think it very possible this is the Rosier home, there are so few clues to know for sure. And while I'm excited about the possibility of that being a Vanishing cabinet, I'm not sure where its match would be that would provide Grindelwald access. It would seem likely that a set could be between the Lestrange and Rosier homes as they are related. But then, Grindelwald would be more likely to enter rather than exit from the Rosier one, wouldn't he? What do you all think? Wherever the scene is located and however they get together, it seems that the bottom line is that Grindelwald and Credence end up in the same location prior to the amphitheater scene. And since Credence and Nagini are shown entering the graveyard on their own, then Grindelwald must not force Credence into his service. At this stage, he's much more about the power of persuasion and manipulation, at least with a valuable asset. I think this scene provides Grindelwald the opportunity to make a persuasive argument for his cause that Credence then succumbs to in the amphitheater when he chooses to join Grindelwald, perhaps to protect his one true friend, or find a cure for them both. If I'm right about this, and I admit this theory is shaky, then keep in mind one thing. Leda and Credence are descended from both the Lestranges and Rosiers, both the Crow and the Phoenix, and both of them are seen to wear the blood-red colors of the Phoenix. Then on Friday, Entertainment Weekly released an issue filled with Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts. There were two articles that intrigued me. First, in an interview with Rowling, while she does not reveal the next film's location, she does offer this. We'll go to at least one new city in the next film, possibly two, and I'm keen to move outside Europe and North America. When I put out my Zowu theory months ago, I theorized that the Zowu might hint that the next film would be in China, a theory that Patricio from the Rowling Library supported and added to in their August issue, which I've linked to in the description below. Since then, we've had hints that the franchise might go to South America as well, specifically Brazil, which makes a lot of sense as it's home to Castle Brujo. However, Patricio points out that Argentina could also play a role, as many Nazis were known to make their homes there after World War II. So what if the next couple of films did indeed go to not only two cities, as Rowling hints at, but two countries as well? Could China and Japan be one combination, and Brazil and Argentina the other? I'm also positive at some point that we'll venture into Africa, and have said so ever since I released my clue book immediately after the first film's release. In fact, I said that with 5 films, we'd hit 5 continents. And now, based on Rowling's quote, it's seeming ever more likely. But for Crimes of Grindelwald, it's Entertainment Weekly's new revelations about Yusuf Kama that are the most exciting. Thanks so much to Universe Harry Potter and Carrie for sending me the clipping before my own copy of EW arrived. In it, it says, "And for the first time, we can reveal that Yusuf has actually taken an unbreakable vow to track Credence down. A magical promise meaning that if he doesn't fulfill his task, he will die." The article also reveals that Yusuf is Lita's half-brother, not her uncle as many were speculating. According to the article, Yusuf's mother was taken by an evil wizard called Corvus Lestrange and ended up having a child with him, Lita. First off, the title of the EW article intrigues me. Is it possible that they're playing on Culture Club's 1983 hit, Karma Chameleon, which Carrie also noted? The theme of being true to yourself could definitely work for this story of people seeking their true identity, which Yusuf Kama seems to be one of. From this article and that symbol on the Lestrange family tree that we've talked about in many videos, I believe that Lorena had an unusual magical power that attracted Corvus Lestrange IV. He took her to breed this power into his child. However, for whatever reason, Lita was not exactly what he wanted. So he discarded Lorena and Lita and took another, Clarice Tremblay, who gave birth to Credence. Here he hit the jackpot. But someone, realizing how disastrous Credence's power would be in the hands of an evil wizard like Corvus IV, or possibly Grindelwald, as I speculated earlier, took Credence and hid him. This could have been his own mother, or the French ministry, or Flamel. Though I theorized before that Dumbledore may have been directly involved, I also said he may only have had knowledge of it. And that's what I think now most likely, especially through his correspondence with Flamel, through this mystery book they share. I've long suspected that there might be an alliance of some sort between Flamel and Kama, and it was confirmed recently in a new image. I believe Yusuf contacted Flamel in his quest because the ancient alchemist would have both long-standing knowledge of the Lestrange family as well as the combustive properties of their experimental breeding program. It is through Kama that Tina is brought to meet Flamel and reads his correspondence with other wizarding alchemists, including Dumbledore. Alchemy was not only about working with metals. There was a line of alchemy that worked with plants for healing, which gave way to our modern pharmaceuticals. In this context, alchemy could also be linked with breeding certain qualities in humans or magicals. I think Flamel is key to Kama understanding the power of Credence and how to stop him, and Yusuf himself is probably key to stop his Obscurus from powerful destruction. Because if Lita's mother was chosen for a special magical power she possessed that Corvus Lestrange wanted to breed into his children, then Yusuf probably possesses it as well. So we could end up with 3 versions of a magical eugenics or alchemy experiment. Yusuf with Lorena's power minus Corvus's, Lita with Lorena's power plus Corvus's, and Credence with Corvus's plus Clarice Tremblay's power minus Lorena's. And as the 3 key steps in alchemical transformation, the correspondence might look like this. Credence as the body, seen as the alchemical salt and the first black stage. Yusuf as the mind, represented as the alchemical mercury and the second white stage. And Lita as soul, symbolized by sulfur and the final red stage. Exactly how this will play out, if it does, we'll have to see. But for now, Kama and Tina unite in their desire to find Credence, but for different reasons. Tina is driven by her desire to help and heal a troubled young man who has been abused, and possibly also by a sense of guilt that she has contributed to his pain and loss. Yusuf seems to be driven by life or death, his own. He made an unbreakable vow to find Credence, but why and to whom? I believe Yusuf made this unbreakable vow with his father. Perhaps they had a loving family before the evil Corvus Lestrange decided he needed Yusuf's mother for himself and broke them apart. Yusuf is obviously older than Lita, old enough to remember his mother and home life before she was taken from them. And when he grew older still, perhaps he vowed to his father that he would claim revenge for what Corvus had done. But is vengeance what he is seeking from Credence? I think it's something more. He's seeking to put an end to this monster breeding program before it can truly have devastating effects. Might a union between Credence and Nagini produce even greater power? The themes of the Crimes of Grindelwald seem to be all about the splitting of relationships and loyalties, the build-up to a war where magicals will achieve power over muggles, and the search for identity, and where one stands in the midst of all of this. I think Yusuf's quest matches every point. His family was torn apart. He is seeking to understand what happened and who his half-sister is, as well as her half-brother. But most of all, he's pledged to ensure that the thirst for magical power and domination which tore his family apart is not used to destroy others. And to that end, he must find Credence, determine if his powers are of the massively destructive capability foretold, and if so, eliminate him, or die himself.
So, what do you think? Do you think we'll see Grindelwald or Credence using a vanishing cabinet? And is Yusuf Kama out to destroy Credence? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Also, please check out my new fan shop on Amazon for books and Funko Pops and wands and all things Fantastic Beasts.